Hi, welcome to another episode of Tam Talks. I'm doing things a little differently today because I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. So if I sound a little scratchy, that is why. I wanted to help you today to figure out a way that your life is actually serving your potential. So what does this mean? It means that you have a choice. And I'm not sure if anyone ever has told you that you have a choice because a lot of us don't think that we do. They think that life just happens, that circumstances are just what they are. But a lot of the times, our circumstances are from our conditioning. It's what we do, who we are, based on the fact that our parents and our households have showed us one way to be. So I want to talk to you about the fact that you do actually get to make choices in life. You do actually get to buck the trend and say, you know what, no, that doesn't feel good to me anymore. Here I am. I'm, late 50s, and I know a lot of people that don't actually think that they have a choice um, in their day-to-day life. They feel like life is happening at them and that they have no uh, recourse on anything that's happening. And in my world, that just hasn't been true. So if we go back to when I was in my mid 30s, I had two small children, and I started doing alternative therapies. And when I was doing the therapy, I was with this girl, we'll call her Linda. And Linda was, she was a really interesting therapist. But I can remember the first time she put me in a room, she said, she goes, you are a victim. Now, she didn't say you identify as a victim, but in today's language, I guess I identified as a victim. And to me, I was going, what the F? Like, I'm not a victim. What does that actually mean? But here's the thing, here's what it did mean to me. I was raised in an environment where shit happened to you all the time and you never took personal responsibility. Now, personal responsibility is a very good catchphrase that is used quite often these days because we do have personal responsibility in how we think of things and how we react to them. Um, you know, I look at things personally now and I'm always going, okay, what am I learning? What am I teaching? So if something happens in my world that I don't really care for, I take a pause and I look at it and go, okay, so what is this serving up for me? There's some learning. There has to be growth because that's what I believe. The other thing that I believe in is that, and this phrase I heard a long time ago too, probably around the same time, is that a miracle is a change in perspective. So it sounds like a very blah de blah thing to say that a miracle is a change in perspective, but it actually is. Just think about it. If you have been raised in a world where the sky is blue, and the sky is always going to be blue because you've been told it's been blue, and then you open your eyes one day and you see that it's a little bit gray, you change your perspective and go, you know what, maybe the sky isn't blue every day. I mean, that's a kind of a shitty analogy, but you get what I'm saying. Things things can change in an instant if you are open to actually looking at them and figuring out what they mean for you. So, yeah, choice. We get back to choice. So, I, when I was told that I identified as a victim, I was very, very offended. And I think I've mentioned on this podcast before that I don't like, I wanted to do anything I possibly could to make my world better for my children. I didn't want to I didn't want to play a victim. I didn't want to identify as a victim. I wanted to be a courageous woman, wife, mother, all of those things. But here's what I recognized is that, I was doing the blame game with a lot of people for a lot of things and never took personal responsibility for my choices. Now, some of that is the way that you're raised. I was raised in a household, as I mentioned, that there seemed to be like my dad was the villain. And we all thought he was the villain up until like July. He died, and we still thought he was a villain. I get it. I see who he was. I understand him now. Um, I can forgive it, which is great. But that reflected on a lot of my adult relationships, including my marriage. When I was in the marriage and the husband of my father, nope, not that. Nope, that would be the husband of my father. That would be interesting, but you know what? That has happened. Jesus. Anyway, the father of my children, I think is what I was going to say. I would blame him for a shit ton of stuff, saying he did this and he did that and he did that. Until suddenly when I went, you know what? He's just serving up. He's just serving up some lessons. And if I look at this differently, I can learn and grow and recognize that he's not the big bad villain that I thought that he was, which often case, I mean, was he his best self? No. Was I my best self? No. We were a work in progress together, and that's what happens when you come together in a marriage. You pull that crap out of one another, and when you throw in a couple of kids and a house and a mortgage and a job, and sex and politics, it's all kind of fucked up. Anyway, I'm going down the rabbit hole here. Um, so I guess what I want to say to you is that you do have choice. You have choice in the way that you look at things. You have choice in the way you respond to things. Um, COVID was an interesting thing for a lot of people. I found that in COVID, you had the opportunity to either reach for the light a little bit more because let's face it, the world was pretty freaking dark, or go down the shithole of that whole pipeline of life sucks and politics sucks and the world is going for our shit and blah blah blah. So I chose not to do that. I chose to work really hard on myself and to try to find the light in the situation, try to find some way to serve, some way to be good, some way to be lighthearted in a place that just wasn't that. Um, and I think that served me a little bit. I'm pretty sure that it did. And you will see now, post COVID, there are a lot of people that are still really down the pipeline of shit, like they're just in the rabbit hole. There's a lot of angry people when you drive around. There's a lot of angry drivers. That's why I'm saying you have a choice to unwind things for yourself. You have a choice to unwind things for your children. There is a lot of positivity out there. There is a lot of faith that you can lean into to figure out how to make those choices for yourself. So, pardon me. Even if you sit quietly and you start to reflect on what's in your life right now and that's not actually serving you to your highest goods. So something that you're going, oh, I'm irritated by this relationship. I don't care for this job. I don't think I can do this. Is it keeping you down? Is it keeping you small? Can you expand anyway? Because these are the things that I guess, at middle age, you know, if you watch the episode with Beth and I, the whole armor cracking open. When you're middle aged, you're kind of moving into the next decade or decades of being fully more of who you are, as opposed to thinking, oh god, I'm just gonna like cruise down that slippery slope into crap for the rest of my life. Ramp it up, go and change things up. I mean, we can't all just quit our jobs and start something new. I get that, that's unreasonable. We do have responsibilities, but the way you look at it, or the way you fill your extracurricular time, or the way you react to a loved one or respond to someone who cuts you off on the road, all of those things are personal choices. So I guess, are you adding to the demise of this world, or are you trying to pick people up? These are all the choices that we can make. So I don't know why I was just guided to talk about this, because I don't think that people think that they have any choice. And I know that personally I've been making a whole bunch of choices that are not necessarily um, uh, celebrated by everybody in my life. Let's put it that way. I mean, even doing this silly YouTube channel, okay, it's not silly. I'm going to take that back, because it's not silly. It's really important to me. So I'm doing it, and I'm going to continue to do it. Even if we know this, I've said it before. If I fail forward, I fail forward. But not everybody is going to see this as a really good thing for me to do. A lot of people think I'm screwed. And that kind of came to my attention when, over the last weekend. And I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to keep going anyway, because I'm guided to do it. And hopefully I'll find my people and I'll find my niche, and those people will want to hear from me. And I guess I thought, "Oh, what if people were out there and they didn't actually realize that they had a choice in any part of their lives? What if you just thought that you're sitting there and life happens and you work until you're 65 and then you travel to all the different places and then you die, but somewhere deep down inside of you there's still something that's not fulfilled?" That to me is bullshit. That to me is so flippin' sad that you could go an entire life without actually realizing you had a choice to look at things differently, to change your perspective on the people in your life, the situations in your life. And that is by, I think, by sitting quietly and pardon me, sitting quietly and figuring out, um, what's bugging you? Why are you so mad? Um, why do you feel so lost? There is something to be said about having some sort of faith, which I think is, plays part in this too, is that you can believe in your God. I believe in my God, of which I would also call the universe. And I feel like I can feel myself being supported by the universe when I'm actually doing something that is in alignment with my soul, which is like this YouTube channel, which is helping people lift up out of their situation as opposed to hammering them down. I've been hammered my entire life. I could give you so many examples of the bullshit that I have gone through in my life that it would you would flip out, because it's been a ride. And at some point, maybe in a book down the line, I will actually start giving some examples of that stuff, because it's a lot. It's an awful lot. Anyway, so that's it. A miracle is a change in perspective. So when you're out there and you see something that's kind of crappy, what can you do to change the way that you look at it? Um, where can you go? Can you sit quietly and just um, figure out how you feel? Write it all down. Figure out if there's some learning in it for you. Is there any possibility for growth? Um, it's a good place to start. It's a good place to acknowledge that in this life we do have choice. It's not all about what your parents told you, what your husband tells you, what your friends tell you, what the dog tells you, all of that. That's not necessarily so. Tap into you, tap into your soul, and freaking go for it. I mean, yeah, that's that's what I want to say. That's what I'm going to say. Well, I've got this little bit of illness going on right now, but look where I am. I mean, I'm sitting at my friend's cottage, at Elizabeth's cottage, and I'm able to come here and record, a little snippet of Tam Talks. Even when I'm feeling unwell, I'm welcome here. And, you know, it's a gift. It's a gift to be here. And it's a gift to be here for you. So that's not lost on me either. So if you're watching this and you like it, but that's good. And if you don't, that's fine too. I'll find my people, and I'll keep doing a deeper dive on these sort of things. I mean, it's a work in progress, and it's unnerving to do this, as you know. So as I've told you a zillion times, but I think there is some. I think there's some wisdom here. So I hope that you take this for what it's worth. I hope that you're enjoying this beautiful fall day, because it is freaking lovely at the end of October and 20 degrees. It's insane. Um, I am, as I say, nursing this cold, and I will be back with you next week. Probably a little less rambling, I'm hoping, but who knows? You know what? It just as it goes. Anyway, I hope this makes some sense to you. Yeah, I hope it does. And I hope you have a great week. I hope you have a great weekend. And I will talk to you soon. Take care. Thanks for watching.